Zidane Danny, Election Ninja here, and welcome back to Election Ninja's Lab. We're back with another live stream, and of course, we are going to be playing some Hytale today. Specifically, we are going to be looking at creative mode. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the various different things that creative mode has to offer. We are in the current pre-release update, so be aware of that. Um, so there are certain things in the game that are not in the regular release. I would recommend, if you are going to be checking out the game at all, try and stick to the regular version rather than specifically choosing to go with the pre-release version. Um, just due to the fact that there are going to be more glitches, more bugs, um, but there are a bit more. There is a bit more in this version of the game. Let's see. I think. Did they put in the new book? Kindle Embers. Is this the thing? This might. I think this is the thing. Yeah. So this is the newest thing that they. This is one of the new things that they added. We're not going to go too much in depth with everything. I think we'll start off with just talking a little bit about this. This is their version of Super Flat, which I don't have a problem with. I think that it's a fine system. Um, it's very open. I think one issue that I currently have with it is that it is not. It is just super flat. It's just a flat world. I think it goes relatively deep compared to like Minecraft. As we can see. Um, yeah. I don't think I'm gonna dig all the way, but like you can already see. I think that's pretty much the same as like the standard world. Is probably what it is at the level. Um, but yeah. Um, this is they're super flat. There is no way to change it so that time will progress in this, which is whatever. Um, but yeah. Uh, Sorry, I'm just trying to see if I can change something. There is one thing that I did allowed. Yeah, I think that's the thing I wanted. Okay, so if you ever need to return to that first world, though, you can just do /hub and you'll come back to here. A few things that I have noticed. We'll talk briefly about this. You don't have permission yet to do the entity stuff. I don't know if that was intentional or if it's like just because I only have the standard version. I hope it's not because I just have the standard version. Um, I hope it's just got a few extra kinks that need to be worked out. But yeah, so this I don't think we can actually look at this proper. So this one goes to a standard world. I believe this one goes to a more extreme world. Or a higher end world, I should say. Um, because it doesn't spawn. This one doesn't spawn you in. Yeah, this puts you in Zone 3, which is the foresty, the snowy area. Which I think it's fine. It works. It's good for if you wanted to see the snowy area. Um, I think that this might just be. I think one thing that this does well is if this was an option that they do, it would be very similar to Minecraft in the way that Minecraft has you just starting out in a random spot in the world. Because compared to what the special spawn that they do in standard mode. In the standard, yeah. But yeah, we'll go back to the standard world for the most part. We're gonna be sticking in there for the most part. But one of the big reasons why I wanted to do a creative mode playthrough rather than or talk a little bit about creative mode is because there are a lot of things that are in the creative mode aspect that are just not yet in the survival gameplay. Hopefully this loads. It might take a bit. Yeah, it's probably gonna take a bit. I'm not surprised that this is taking a bit. There we go. All right. So there's our. So yeah, we're in the default world now, so that's good. And yeah, this will take you to the main thing. Wow, this is really bad. Okay, this is. I'm assuming that this is due to the fact that we are in we're in the pre-release version that's taking that's being like this. We'll let this load for a bit because this is gonna take a bit. But yeah, so with the I'm assuming that this is just pre-release issues. So obviously this tab is all creative mode stuff. You can't use any of this without being in creative. Makes sense because it's specific. It's specifically to building stuff. This is probably one of the biggest things that I think that Minecraft could learn from in doing stuff with their creative mode is allowing something like this where people can get all sorts of different tools and stuff that they can then save into their specific programs. Like this allows you to create a building, save it to your to a prefab thing, and then be able to place it into any world that you want. Well, at least for survival for creative mode. One thing that I've said this multiple times before in when I'm talking about Minecraft is this type of thing would be extremely useful in where basically we could use command blocks or not necessarily command block, but that could be the reason why we get the yellow allay at some point in the game, where basically you're able to create something in your creative mode world and then save it into a file, and that will be saved onto your computer, and then you can send that across to anywhere that you want it to go. But yeah, so you could save this to wherever you want to go, and then you could put it into creative, or you could put it into, you could get the yellow allay box, whatever it's going to be called, and then that will build the structure. I think that the thing that makes the most sense for it is that you then put a chest next to it, and it takes those supplies to then build the object. I'm hoping that at some point, like, even if Minecraft themselves doesn't do that, I hope that somebody will make a mod about that. As far as, I haven't really been testing around with a lot of the tools. I tried doing some stuff with the machinima tools, but I feel like it's way more usable if you are playing in creative, if you're playing with multiple people, because that seems to be what they're intending it's useful for. Because there's just so many details with it that just make it really complicated. So, yeah. Obviously, there are certain objects that are very heavily work in progress, such as this glider. Can I even put this in my inventory? There we go. So, if we go into this mode. Oh, wait, what? Am I dumb? I could have sworn that this Maybe they might have removed the functionality. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's left click rather than right click. Okay. So this allows you to glide down. Currently, it doesn't have a model. Personally, I would love to see what this does at some point. But I don't think they're going to do anything with it yet. A few things that do intrigue me, at least, is they have several tools. Like, there's a wooden axe. There is a wooden pickaxe in the game. There's like all of these different tools that you can't. Like, I'm just gonna look over. I'm looking over the tools rather than the weapons because the weapons are way more. But like looking at the tools, there's all these objects that we still don't have yet. Obviously, currently it's just the iron shovel, I believe. There's no smaller version. There's no better version. I'm assuming that that's going to be something that they're going to work on later. If we were to grab a, in fact, yeah, here let's grab a thorium. Oops. Oh, I can't even do this in. Okay, you can't even use it in creative mode right now, which is whatever. Can we use the standard one? Yeah, you can't even use the standard one. That is that's a little bit of an issue that they'll need to fix for sure. But yeah, so that's various different tools. The sickles, I'm excited to see how they're going to mess around with these. Currently, the sword is your best way to actually do this, but the advantage that was there was that with the sickle you could harvest eternal crops, but apparently they've changed it so that if you swipe your sword, it won't harvest eternal crops, or it will harvest eternal crops. It just won't get rid of the seeds. So that, there's that. In terms of like a lot of the weapons and stuff, most of them have not been fully implemented, at least last I checked. So like all of the arrows, I think that the only one that is actually implemented properly is the crude arrow. Okay, there we go. And also, guns do work. Not all of them, but some of them do work, and they do take arrows. Obviously, guns are not currently in Survival Minecraft, or Survival Hytale. As are a lot of weapons just aren't yet in the standard game. In fact, we could actually go ahead and place a few of these crafting tables to explain a lot of this shit. So, why is this having issues here? Why am I not able to place this in my freaking inventory? Oh my gosh, I just got like all of them. Okay, this is definitely something that is an issue with the pre-release. But yeah, so we can let's just briefly upgrade this to its full potential, just so that we can discuss this properly. So yeah, in terms of, so obviously survival, we have all these things. Jeez. Okay. Survival, we have all of these. In tools, we start with the crude stuff. Makes sense. Which I believe these are in your standard crafting inventory, which cool. The crude ones are all in your standard inventory, I think, except for crude builder's hammer. And I think like the weapons, it's just the sword. I don't think the bow is in there. But yes, so it's just the three tool, the different tool levels. The crude stuff, the copper stuff, which I'm surprised that doesn't include a hammer. The iron stuff, which includes the shovel and the hammer, and then the thorium, cobalt, adamantite, and mithril. I do expect them to do some stuff with all this soon. The biggest issue is that storm leather is currently not in the game. Same thing goes for mithril. So that leads to a little bit of annoyingness. So yeah. Oh, so the second upgrade. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. And that's another thing as well. Do we have one of those? Yes, there. All right. One sec. I want to get to the yeah, so it's all the way up here. So currently, at least last I checked, and this is something that they should fix soon, sooner rather than later, is that you currently cannot register anything, any life in your creative mode. I don't know why that is the case currently. Oh, that's an issue. Jeez, this is so much slower right now. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, already you can see like a lot of the issues that are coming about from doing the pre-release version. Yeah. Like, look at that. Look at that. That's insane. What the frickin'? There's a lot more of this stuff. I think that this is probably because of the fact that these are specifically NPCs. Is that the... It's not even... Oh, yeah. Huh. Interesting. I don't know if that's something that we'll be dealing with much more. Okay, so if we... Yeah. So as you can see, in creative mode, you're unable to register any of this stuff, which is a bit concerning. I think that they should allow that. Just so you can like properly look at a lot of the different aspects of the game, so you can understand it a little bit better. Like if I was to, one of the things that there's the advantage when it comes to creative mode is being able to look at a lot of this stuff, but I am unable to do so in this. Which it's fine. It's whatever. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised. I don't think I've seen one of these be right here. Oh, this is one of these things. Okay. And that just froze me. Okay, so that... Oh. Okay. I don't think that worked properly. Okay. Huh. I'm not sure what's going on there. I think that might just be a glitch with the system, because I'm in creative mode. But yeah. But you get my point. There's a lot of glitches in this. But yeah, where is so there's spawn, and then my crafting table should be right over here. Yep, there it is. So So yeah, looking at the workbench. Ooh, come on. That's getting annoying. There we go. So yeah, just based on this, obviously we have all these tools. If we look at these tools, already we can see that there's way more options. For one thing, there is wooden versions, which to me that's kind of telling that that might be something that you get later, that they're going to add later. It's going to be pretty shitty. Probably nowhere, probably not as good as the crude, or maybe it might be as good as the crude. Maybe they're intending for the crude one to break earlier, and well, this one won't. So yeah, and same thing goes for the wooden hatchet, and stuff like that. In terms of a lot of like the weapons, or a lot of them also have mithril, which obviously we know it exists and it's going to exist in the game. It just hasn't been created yet. Is the onyxium stuff. We have not seen anything when it comes to those tools. My guess is that onyxium and mithril are both going to be added relatively soon to basically be ores that are just in the game. Probably they're going to do mithril first because it's already in the it's in here, so they don't want to. So once that's taken care of, then they can worry about onyxium and adding that into the actual systems in place. I do think that they will probably add the different levels of shovels. There is a possibility for them adding more stuff when it comes to the builder's hammer, because at first it didn't even do anything. It wasn't really useful. In terms of the bark scraper, I do think that if they are going to do something with the bark scraper, I think that it should function a bit differently than an axe, because currently it just functions like an axe. As you can see, effective tool for cutting down trees. Same thing goes for all of these things. I think that the bark scraper should have a different use, and basically you will be able to right click on trees and basically get their barkless version. What is going on with my yeah, this is insane. We're gonna be having issues all day. That's fine. Some people have been saying that the shears in the watering can should get better. I'm also in that group, especially with the watering can. Watering cans should be upgraded. Should get better. The only thing that I want to see, so for the watering can specifically, I want it to basically be having more storage space for the water. And because that is a big issue, and it could be just something along the lines of, you go to your specific crafting bench, which I believe that would be the farmer's workbench. We'll just wait for a sec. But yeah, so that's in the farmer's workbench. That makes sense. I think that they should keep working on that. Yeah, so there it is. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with the watering can. Because the watering can could be extremely useful if it were more useful. I think if they are going to do anything with it, though, here's what I would do when it comes to levels of watering can. Firstly, there's the watering can. Starts off at iron, that makes sense. Then at thorium and cobalt, there could be two versions of the watering can, and they will basically function exactly the same because that's how they do. So they function. They can function the same. They basically are just bigger watering cans, and that's all they are. They have more space in the watering can, so they can water more crops. Cool. Then, at either adamantite and mithril. So currently, I'm thinking adamantite, but there is a possibility of mithril also being like this. Um, adamantite could just be a bigger watering can, or it could be the start of this, and that is spigots, or not spigots, sprinklers. You can set these up near your cropland. It will water crops within a certain range. There could be they could do something simple, starting at iron if they really wanted to. Maybe it functions exactly like the watering the sprinklers in Stardew Valley. But like at adamantite and maybe even mithril, have it at that point tools that are able to properly water all of the crops. Sprinklers that it doesn't have to be like a massive area. I think I'm not insane. I do think that there should be a range on it. Exactly how far that range is going to be, I don't know. What I would say is there would be most likely another tab in here that is specifically for functioning blocks that will have specific uses. If they ever decide to make the hive or the scarecrow actually do something, because currently they just are called Deco Hive, Deco Scarecrow, so that does make me think that there could at some point be a version of these that are actually functional. Those could be in that tab, as well as sprinklers. I think currently the reason why the scarecrow and the hive are just decorative blocks is because of the fact that they haven't fully set up the mechanics for this. Because currently birds are just like constantly in the air, they're not going to do much to you. So if they were to make crows actually like go in here and take care and attack these things, that would be a reason to use the scarecrow, because currently it's not that useful. And there could be multiple scarecrows. I think that that would actually be a very interesting idea, to have them be something that causes mobs to stay away. Like there could be like a standard one that's relatively cheap. Maybe all of your standard Deco scarecrows will convert into this new scarecrow, and that'll keep birds away. Birds will just stay away from your crops. Then there could be one where it keeps hostile or it keeps predators away. Then there could be and there's like because there's so many different types of creatures within the memories, various different ones could keep different mobs away. I think that would be very interesting to discuss. And the hive, I think that they should basically bees will flutter around and they'll deal with various mostly helping out your crops and stuff. Obviously the feedback is still early development, because I've tried testing it. I can't figure this thing out for the life of me. I hope that they will be fixing some things soon to make this better. But yeah, various different the farming aspect of this game, it sounds like it's pretty in depth when it comes to like the animal husbandry and stuff is what they're planning to do. They just haven't gotten around to doing all of that, because we have the wooden bucket, we have the feedback, we have manure, we have the capture crate, which I would not be surprised if what they might plan to do is make a larger capture crate to capture medium-sized animals. So that would be your pigs, your boars, and all that stuff. And then so those guys could go into the second capture crate. And then finally you have your large capture crate, which is able to hold horses. It's able to hold all of the mountable mobs. It's able to hold cows. And that could be a possibility with that. I don't necessarily know if they're going to do that, or if they're going to go down the route of what Minecraft does with the lead object, or because or they might just improve the feed bag so that mobs will follow you as you're holding it. Because that's one of the big issues I've been having with my survival playthrough is like the feedback is practically useless at this point. There are some people who are saying, "Oh, we've gotten it to work so that it and blah 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 blah." I can't figure out how to get it to work, so that's something that they need to fix quickly. In terms of the hose, I do think that they will probably get them all upgraded at some point. As we can see, we immediately get the copper and the crude. But they do have all of these levels. I do think that at some point they might get eventually a adamantite, a cobalt, a mithril version of these. But it's probably going to be a while. Various different levels of it. I don't know. We'll see what they do. They will need to figure out how to do the glider at some point. I'm not sure exactly where all of these tools are going to be, but yeah. So that's farming aspect. I kind of get it. It makes sense. Tools and armor, obviously. That is actually where I really want to go in depth with this, because there is so much in here. So if we go to the... let's just look at the gear first off. So there is, like, cloth versions, specifically, like, the cinder cloth gear. There's bronze versions, ornate bronze versions of gear, which looks to me... Do they have all of them? Yeah, they have all of them. Okay, I was kind of confused there for a sec. But yeah, so they have all... Right? No. They don't have legs. They don't have ornate legs for whatever reason. I think that might just be an issue that they forgot about. But yeah, so there's all these various different clothing. Cotton tunics, linen stuff, silk stuff. Yeah, various different woolen, the diving stuff, which currently it's just the crude level. I would like to see this get eventually to be better versions. I assume that they will do that, but they first have to make it. So, yeah. Quebec stuff, which there's only these two right now. I'm not certain even how... I think some people have actually managed to get the hat. Oh, they did. Yeah, they had that. Which, I like that they have added this visibility option. This makes things so much easier. Did they do that for everything? Yes, they did. Oh, that's an issue. They'll need to fix that. But yeah, I assume that like a lot of these different gears are going to be added over time. But yeah. So yeah, there's one of each type of leather. Various different things like that. So none of these, especially the cloth armor, yeah, so all of the cloth armor is not yet in the game. These backpacks, so helipack, leather backpack, big backpack, quiver, none of those are in the game yet. I don't know, you can't even use them here in the creative mode. I've been testing them pretty as much as I could. I tried putting them on, I tried doing all sorts of things. I don't know what they're intending to do with those. Maybe they will be like there will be a new spot. My guess is that that's what each of these two slots are for, because we have the offhand and then we have these two. My guess is that you can probably do like one is going to be like a backpack, because we've got the leather backpack and the big backpack, and then one will either be the helipack or the quiver. And the quiver might be able to hold, like, way more arrows, which will save a lot of space eventually. But they're currently in development, so that's why they haven't done that. Same thing goes for, like, mana has yet to be introduced yet. Defense obviously exists. Stamina, health, they both exist. As we can see, if we just, like, put that on. Boom. Massive boost. Boom. Massive boost. Boom, massive boost. boom, massive boost. Obviously, we could do all of the different gear and stuff. Not going to worry about that too much right now, but yeah. In terms of what they will do with when it comes to how this will all function, one thing that I'm guessing is that there will be a cloth craft workbench. Because there are workbenches in the game currently that we still have yet to even see any use for. Specifically, the trough is supposed to be a... This is supposed to be a workbench, by the way. You know what? Maybe we'll go to... Let's go back to the... No, it's fine. Lunch time. Yeah, that's... I don't know. I don't know how to actually change that. Well, we'll stay for here for now. But this is supposed to be a workbench at some point. What exactly this is going to use? No idea. My guess is that this is going to be... Oh, they adjusted this. Okay. They actually explained how this works. That's good. That's a little bit better. But yeah, so this specifically says used to craft farming accessories and animal feed. To me, it feels weird that the trough is going to be that option. I feel like that would be something that would just hold feed for your animals. But apparently it's going to have like an actual ability to craft various different things. My guess as to what it's going to be able to craft is kind of hard to say. I could see it maybe being able to craft armor for your horses or your dog, because you are going to be able to get a dog eventually. So that could be a possibility. As we can see, there are morphine potions. We'll talk about those in a sec. But yeah, so various different things like that. They could do some various different types of feed. And maybe like once you put in the feed, then it stays in there. And that's why it's considered the trough rather than the feed. But yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so there's like a whole bunch of different armors that are just currently not usable. And like some of them, I can kind of understand why they're not usable. Specifically, which ones? So Cindercloth, I believe, is for... so various different ones you kind of get from the actual entities. So the Throx set. Those are currently stuff that is... those are things that are worn / are used by the Throx species. How exactly it's going to function, I don't know. I'm intrigued to see how they're going to work with that. In terms of like a lot of the other like you get Cindercloth from the fire area. You get the I'm forgetting what the other one was. Various different things. But yeah, from what I'm seeing, my guess as to what it's going to be is that cloth is probably going to mostly be useful for casting. As we can see with some of it is already set up, but other things it's not. We can see the mana, and they're working on it. They haven't fully it's still in the works. So the metal armor is going to be for protection, so that you can use like all your standard weapons, so your battle axes, your I guess a scythe is going to be a thing, your clubs, your all of the various different standard tools, and then your cloth ones are going to be more used for casting. Currently, we don't have a lot of the casting or a lot of the magic systems in place. So we'll see how that goes. I don't want to get too in depth with that yet because I don't necessarily know anything about that. The helipack, though, I briefly want to talk about this. Because this exists and because the guns exist in the game, that leads me to believe that they are planning to have mechanical aspects in the game. And I think that that is most likely going to be what they're going to use instead of like a redstone. They have said that there is going to be some automation type aspect, but it's not going to be the same as Minecraft, where it's circuit boards and stuff like that. To me, it sounds like it's going to be a very similar aspect to something like the Create mod for Minecraft, where it's a lot of mechanical aspects like that, rather than being super in depth with like circuit boards and stuff like that, where it is with Minecraft. Which I'm all for. That actually sounds like a lot of fun once we actually get to see what that has. So yeah. There's a lot. There are so many weapons. And that's one of the things that as I was looking through this, when I first checked this out, that was the main reason why I really wanted to talk about like what they're working on. So if we let's grab that and that. So if we grab the blacksmith's anvil here, let me grab torches really quick. Is this? No, that's not light. Is this the light? Where's the frickin' light? There's the lights. That's new, I think. I don't know. There's probably way more things, but we'll just grab that for now. So, if we look at this, obviously this has the various different tools, various different weapons. Currently, it has bows, knives, axes, maces, and swords, which does leave a few. Let's go ahead and head back here to discuss this. So, axes, which obviously there are certain ones that are not in the game yet. Which one? It doesn't really matter exactly which ones there are, but there's a few that are missing from those lists for the axes, for all of these things. But specifically, actually, no, wait, that's what I want. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. So there's the axe, and then there's the battle axe. And granted, I think that's the same. Is that the same? No, it's different. So these are weapon axes, which are one-handed. Those are not in this, which is kind of odd to me. It's just the battle axes. So we don't. So we have battle axes. So I'm assuming like some of these battle axes are like ones that you'll find. Various different ones in here are ones that you'll find out in the world, and I'm fine with those being just being stuff that you're not able to craft, but you're able to find out in the world. Especially some of these things that are like going to be used by Quebecs and stuff like that, and various other creatures. Cool, that makes sense. There is no most of the tribal weapons are not in the game, so these claws are not in the game. The blowgun isn't in the game. No clubs whatsoever, which, like, a lot of these look really fun to play around with, especially, like, a flail. Like, yes, please. Like, tell me this isn't fun. And I can imagine them eventually adding, like, a nunchuck or something like that to the game. There are arms. Okay, so that functions just like them. It sounds like the arms function kind of like the flail. But yeah, so arms and legs from zombies, which that looks fun. I'm excited to see how they're going to mess around with those, but obviously still in the works. A lot of the bombs are not currently in the game. Currently, I believe that the only one that you can craft is the pop berry bomb, and then I think that you can get one of these other ones from. You can probably get a few others from goblins and other mobs. But yeah, so those are there. Currently, there's just the iron hand crossbow, and I think that this one is something that you find in an actual chest somewhere. Just due to the fact that it's an ancient one. Most ancient stuff is found, which reasonable, makes sense. Obviously, daggers are in the game, but there's still a few that are not accessible yet, which makes sense. But they'll probably add them eventually. We're not going to get too much in that. There's the darts. We'll come to the claws later because there are more, I believe, or maybe not. Maybe there's not. I think that's actually it. So it's just bone claws, and then there's tribal claws, which these are not currently anywhere. I don't know where they're whether it's just like something that they're planning to add or what. Maybe it's something that is a specific mob that I haven't seen yet. There are totems, but we'll deal with those in a sec. Those are in a different crafting stuff. And then there is the guns, which I'm imagining if they're going to do something with the guns, it's probably going to be a different crafting table that doesn't exist yet. Kunai don't exist yet, which sad. Same thing goes for the katana. Both of these don't exist yet. I would love to play around with those, but it'll happen eventually. So yeah, in terms of swords, so these are just standard swords, right? If you look here, so there's the long sword, and then there's the Surian saber. Long sword, long sword, long sword, long sword, long sword, katana, long sword, long sword. All of those are long swords. The actual swords that they were talking about are all the way down here, and there's still like a whole bunch that we haven't seen yet. In the game, like obviously like scrap swords and a few other ones are things that you get from mobs and stuff. But yeah, all of these ones up here are not yet in the game, which just makes me sad. I would love to use some of these longswords. I understand because they are two-handed. They may not necessarily they may be working to actually get all of these properly implemented. My guess as to what they're going to do is they're probably going to set up different sections within the sword section to create the for the long swords and so on and so forth. They might change the axes, the battle axe section, to be axes and battle axes, just axes in general. Mace could include clubs, not daggers could include claws, various things like that. Shields are in the armors thing, so we'll discuss those in a sec. So we'll discuss those later. Most of these are not in the game yet. So it's basically just like a standard one, and then you can get a few of them from just wandering throughout the towns and stuff as you're exploring. So there might be more. Obviously, the maces exist. Bows, so many bows. It's insane. I don't think. Yeah, so none of the bows are. Yeah, that's one thing. That is one thing that I specifically would like to see them change, is maybe move bows to a different workbench that'll be like a fletching table or something like that, and that would include bows and crossbows, and that would open this up to then have some of these other weapons. Like, I'm not even certain. There's a few. There's so many of these that it's insane. In terms of like the wands and the staves, those are going to be in this. As you can see, we have a flame crystal and we have an ice crystal wand, which those are very fun. I've tested them a little bit. You do need essence of fire or essence of ice to use them specifically. I'm assuming that once they've worked the mana into the system, and a lot of that stuff, then they will actually be pretty useful. In terms of the totems, though, currently I can't figure out what those are going to be useful for. In fact, I don't even see them in here. Yeah. I think that... I don't remember where they were. They're somewhere in here. I don't remember. They're somewhere in here. Not super important. Oh, here they are, yeah. Oops. Didn't need to do that. So yeah, you can throw them out and they will do certain things. So yeah, healing totem. I think that heals you within a certain range. I don't know. So that exists. Same thing goes for the slowing totem. So these will definitely be useful once we actually get them into the system, which is actually kind of good. Okay, so this slows people down. I'm assuming that this is like specifically for enemies. And then so this is currently miscellaneous. I am assuming the same thing goes for the portals. So portal stuff and miscellaneous stuff. This system is probably going to be fully implemented at some point. It's just like currently because they're still working on a lot of the magic stuff. That's why we don't have it. Oh yeah, spears. I forgot about spears. But yeah, spears should probably be in the other thing. But in terms of this one, obviously there's the grimoire, which most of these are not implemented fully. This is the first one to be implemented, the rekindlable embers. A species once bound to element fire. Minions despawn when their summoner is lost or after 5 minutes. So yeah, looks really fun. Like this is one of them. I'm pretty sure that each of these other ones are going to have some other aspect to them. Exactly how they're going to function, no idea. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see how they're going to work with these. The staves, most of these staves have not been implemented at all. Same thing goes for the wands. They just happen to exist. They're mostly for NPC usage right now. So yeah, staves and wands and books, all very early in development. But we'll see eventually how that functions. But yeah, from what it sounds like, staves and books are going to be the two-handed ones, and then wands will be the one-handed, which will be useful to see how people are going to actually use these various different objects. I don't know. Okay, so this does have a blast. So some staves do have blasts. Which makes sense, like that one specifically, because that is actually in the game, so that makes sense. But yeah, various different things. It looks really like it's going to be intuitive. It's just like this is probably going to be like fully reworked eventually. This is probably going to be fully reworked eventually. Same thing goes for the alchemist table. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets fully reworked, because currently it's just potions. These were from the morphine potions, and then this has bombs. So most likely they will be implementing more of the bombs to be in the game, because currently, like I said, the only one is the potberry. So they will probably add the rest of these. Poison and stun make the most sense to add eventually. A lot of these ones I think are from fighting monsters currently, but they might implement those to be actually craftable at some point. So yeah, so that's weapons, that's armor, and yeah. In terms of the other benches and stuff, I do think that a lot. I believe that the chef stove, because they already have mentioned that they're working on cooking. I imagine that cooking will probably be insane at some point. Because currently, I think it's uh, bread, candy canes, cheese, and then these skewers, the pies, the popcorn, and the salads, and then everything else is well, some of this stuff is also, yeah, you get my point. Some of this stuff is craftable, some of this stuff is you just gather. Um, so they will probably implement a lot of this stuff sooner or later. These two are not implemented properly, so we'll see how that goes eventually. But yeah, workers benches. These all of this is still pretty early. Um, I don't necessarily know how they're gonna work on all of this. Obviously, this is about the foods. I'm not gonna go into all of them, but yeah, they should also adjust this sooner or later. Um, here in the creative menu because this is problematic. It's blocked off by the screen. Um, but yeah, grimoires look like they're going to be useful at some point. Yeah, various different things. We're not going to talk about the consumables because, or what is this? What is this actually? Ingredients. Yeah, we're not going to talk about the ingredients because this is very early in development. So yeah, I would imagine that before long we will be seeing more from these. Like, I've yet to see leather straps shop in the game. Same thing goes for studs. Cinder sinew, haven't seen that. Yeah, a few of these things, haven't even seen them yet. Specifically, the hides. There are so many, actually. Currently, it's these three are the only ones that you can actually use. And obviously that equates to their specific leathers. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to work. Specifically with the tanning rack and whether or not they're going to make it better. And in terms of what is going on with the tools, I think that's actually in ores. Yeah, here's in ores. So when it comes to the ores, so obviously, I think up to, so all of the so adamantite, cobalt, copper, gold, iron, silver, and thorium, they all exist, but mithril doesn't exist. Onyxium doesn't exist. Prisma doesn't exist. So this might exist now, actually. They might have implemented mithril because of the fact that I'm seeing the stone. Maybe it's something like in the underground or something. All of these crystals, no idea how they're going to be used. Well, actually, I do have an idea how they're going to be used. Most likely, most of them are going to come from the are going to be used for the wands, because currently ruby is used for the flame crystal staff, and the sapphire is used for the ice crystal staff. So we'll probably be seeing those before too long. Exactly which ones are going to work with what, I have no idea. I'm hoping that the emerald is just like super common. My guess, if I were to look at the staves, which one would most likely have it, probably most standard staves would have it, actually. Maybe a few wouldn't, but yeah. Yeah, purple crystal is obviously going to be using for the purple crystal, and so on and so forth. There's a lot. There's so many staves, I can't even look at all of them. But I would say most likely the emerald one. What the frick? That's an issue. Weird. But yeah, staves and probably wands as well will also be using a lot of these things eventually. In fact, actually, that's a question. Oh my gosh, what the frick? That's not right. They will definitely need to fix some of this stuff. There are definitely glitches, and that's fine. But yeah, a few things that I would like to see them work on is the repair kits. Currently, it's the regular repair kit and the crude repair kit. The crude repair kit is not in the game, only the standard one. My guess as to what that will probably be is that in the crafting menu, you'll probably be able to do the crude repair kit. It'll probably, at my best guess, require pretty standard materials, maybe like a light high or something. But basically things that you can get pretty easily in the game, at any point, is my guess. And the standard repair kit, obviously, you get from the crafting. And I personally, if they are going to do anything with repair kits, maybe a eventual one where it doesn't lose any of its durability. If that were to happen, I would say that it should be probably made out of thorium, and it can be used on everything. And that way, but because by the time you're getting thorium, you're really wanting to have mithril stuff. You're really wanting you'll be working towards mithril. You'll be working towards adamantite. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, in terms of like the world, a lot of these building blocks and stuff, I don't really have too much to say about them, because most of this stuff is it's either craftable currently or findable somewhere in the world. Some of them are not. Like, I don't think the frost stuff is currently available. I don't think that the royal magic stuff is currently available. Various different things like that I don't think are currently available. But they probably are just like their structures just aren't built yet. Personally, I'm really excited to see like what they're going to do with some of this stuff, because like I'll just show this one off really quick, because I love this door. It's so creepy. I love it. I am expecting there to be a lot of D&D worlds made, and they'll use this door, because that is awesome. And various other doors. I do expect them to add more, though, before too long. Exactly how many? No idea, but it will probably happen. So, yeah, same thing goes for lighting, same thing goes for a lot of these other things. Craftability is kind of a weird situation currently, because some things, yeah, you can craft them in this thing, or you can craft them in that thing. Furniture workbench and furniture workbench annoys me though. So as we can see, so many freaking crafting recipes require you to have done certain things, and a lot of this stuff looks like it's probably early in development. So there will probably be a lot more things added to these various different tabs. But I think like the important thing to note about this is that this actually shows how many maximum tabs they could have in this game. They could eventually have 8 different tabs for every single crafting bench if they really wanted to, and most of them only have like 4 or 5. Many of them have only 2. The only ones that have a lot are obviously the farmer and this one. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least. In terms of the furnace, I actually I do want to talk about this, and I want to talk the last 2 things I really want to talk about are transportation, specifically, and the furnace. Currently, the furnace is fine, but once it's upgraded, I feel like it could be more useful, because it currently only has 3 inputs and 4 outputs. If they're going to, I would like to see more with this, but it's obviously like This is early development. They might do more. They might just leave it how it is, and that's fine. So currently, in terms of transportation, there are animals, which are a pain to use. So they should at some point add like a saddle or something that will allow you to keep an animal where it is, and they will never run from you because you have to chase after them. If you are holding a single weapon, a horse will run from you, which is so annoying. And then there's minecarts, which I do like that you can actually move them, but you can't turn them at all, which is annoying. And then boat is just placeable. Like, that's it. And that's a problem. I think part of the reason why it's only placeable right now is because if they were... Yeah, here, let's go to the water really quick. If we go to the water, and I did not realize that we were that close to a fire area. If we go to the water, it just places, and it's kind of annoying. Because, yeah, it'll just go in the water. In fact, I'm not even able to place it, which is annoying. Here. Woo! Disconnected, reconnect. There we go. We're reconnected. But yeah, like I was saying, boats are pretty much useless right now. You can place them, and that's it. So, please, make them better. Why is this not getting... There we go. But yeah, so that's... This is the charred place. I want to see, is there a volcano? Volcanoes are the fastest way to get down there. I think, is this one? This is one. I might need to go lower. Am I not? What the fuck? I am blind as a bat right now. One sec. Let me grab some lights. What the fuck? Oh, there we go. Oh, shit. I'm not seeing a spawn. Or I'm not seeing the cave. What the fuck? That's odd. I'm not seeing the new caves. I want to take a look at the new caves because that is something that they changed. Wait, what is that? Is that the... That's silver. Okay. I thought that was silver, but I wasn't 100% certain. Okay, because this is... Okay, it's because this is such a small area, I think. What the fuck is that? Sorry, I'm distracted. I just really need to know what's going on here. Okay, so because this is such a small area, that's why it doesn't have the proper caves underneath, which is fine, but it's just kind of weird. But yeah. Also, I do have to say I love the speed multiplier thing. Okay, I see. Okay, so this is just like some weirdly generated structures. That's fine. But yeah, it's intriguing. It's intriguing to see what they're going to do with the game. So this is actually something that I do briefly want to talk about. I didn't think that this was going to happen, actually. So there is a weird glitch where, for what in certain situations, it'll show a few items that are not there. Because currently, if you guys saw before, and I think we can actually reset this. Yep, it extends all the way. To me, that's what that just showed is likely saying that there will be 3 new benches, and they're working on them right now. So, yay. Who's excited to see how that works? I am. But yeah. Speed multiplier, like I said, speed multiplier is really good. I'm glad that they have this. That's one thing that is another thing that I would like to see them do in Minecraft, but I'm not certain if they're going to. But yeah, it functions pretty well. The worst part about it is loading. As you can see, the world is not loading. Massive amounts of fog. And yeah, that is the worst issue. That is the biggest issue that I have found currently in the creative mode. Is like, it can be pretty slow to load comparatively in creative mode. And it's just creative mode. It's not like, oh yeah, it's in it's in normal mode and creative mode. But nope, it's just in creative mode. Don't know why, but that appears to be the case. But anyways, guys, I think that's pretty much where I'm going to call the stream. I know this was a much shorter stream than you're used to. I just really wanted to briefly talk about a lot of these aspects, and like what I could see them doing as the game continues. And I felt like that was a more important aspect than continuing the adventure in a world that I'm probably going to delete before too long. I'm realizing pretty quickly that it's going to be very necessary to delete that world. Because, yeah, a lot of the world gen, no matter what happens with a lot of the world gen, is like, it's going to be gone eventually. And probably pretty quickly, all things considered. So, I don't know. We'll see what they do. I'm hoping that it's one thing. One of the things that I've said before, and I'll probably say it a few times. Do not expect to have a permanent world. Because this game is severely in development. Like, we're messing with the pre-release for a pre-release version, for a pre-release game. And you've seen just from this, checking it out, that there are so many issues in this game. There are so many bugs and glitches and stuff like that. The game is in pre-release, so expect there to be glitches. And I would not expect to create... I would not suggest to anyone to make a world and expect it to be your permanent world, like what they do, like what a lot of people have done in Minecraft, where they've had a world and they've stayed in that world for years. I don't expect that to be something that people are going to do for much longer. So we'll see what they do. A few things that I would also like to briefly discuss before we end the stream is the possibility of, if we create a new world, that's an exploration. Allow an option in here for a like with how Creative has, where you're able to have a flat world, you're able to have a generated world. Have those be an option, because I know a lot of people would love to do a survival flat world. But yeah, currently it's not in there. Wait, ooh, am I able to change that? Okay. Is that something that I can change? Is that why I was having issues with it? That might be the issue that I was having. Maybe in automatic setup it doesn't do that. Maybe in standard setup it doesn't allow that. this? No, I don't have permission to use that command. So yeah, that's still not useful. But that's fine. I don't know. There's survival super flat. That needs to be a thing. What I would recommend them doing is it be super flat, but still have certain structures be able to be in the game. Because that it's a challenge that people have had for a while in Minecraft, and it's been a lot. I have seen some people do some crazy things with that, like Mog Swamp. If you've seen what he's done, it's insane. So I would like to see something along those lines before too long. But I don't know. I want to just be very clear about what I feel about this game. Is that there's so much that they are going to do and that they have done already in this game, and I can't wait to see how far they're going to take this. Personally, I'm so excited. There's going to be so much that they can do. But yeah. Anyways, guys, that is where I'm going to go ahead and call it for the day. Next stream is going to be is tomorrow. We're going to be doing Final Fantasy again. So look forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. That is going to be Zolo's Journey. And then next week is update day for Final Fantasy. So look forward to that. We're going to be discussing all of the stuff that they do for that. But yeah. This was mostly me being like critical and like thinking about, oh, what could they do? That was what this whole stream was. I hope that that based on what I'm seeing, I think that they have a lot of things that they can do, and yeah, I'm hopeful that this game does really well, and that it will continue to do well. They're probably going to be updating it pretty regularly. I mean, we already have the second update, which is this pre-release, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on.